Okay, so this question is about a nuclear reactor, and it's quite a standard type of question. You've got a diagram showing you the main parts, and the first question is to link the different parts of the reactor with the purpose of it. So going from the top, the control rod is there to control the number of neutrons, and it does that by absorbing any excess neutrons. So we link that with the top one. The second one is the coolant, so it could be water, it could be carbon dioxide, and that's there to move the thermal energy, to move the heat energy around the reactor and out to the turbine. So for the coolant, you want to link that to the second one. The fuel rod is where fission actually takes place. So the fuel rod is made of uranium-235. And of those three, that's the one that matches best with the fuel rod, is it contains uranium. The fourth one, the moderator, this is similar to the control rod. People tend to get these two mixed up. The control rod absorbs neutrons. The moderator is there to slow the neutrons down so that they can be better absorbed. So that's actually there to help with fission. So we want to link the moderator to that one. Then hopefully the last one matches. Yep, the reactor vessel is the thick lead and concrete exterior where fission takes place inside, so that links to that one quite nicely. So which of these is a nuclear fission product? So the whole of nuclear fission, you need to know certain things about it. First of all, you need to be quite specific, and they're going to be quite fussy about the language that you learn. So a typical nuclear fission reaction starts with uranium-235, and I'll explain in a minute where you're getting your marks from. Then adding in a neutron to briefly turn it into uranium-236. Then it splits. So fission, the whole thing about fission is that it's the splitting of large atoms, large unstable radioactive atoms, into kind of two daughter nuclei. Doesn't really matter what they are, as long as the numbers balance, as long as the proton numbers and the mass numbers balance. And then a couple of neutrons, could be 2 or 3. You have to know that it's uranium-235 that briefly turns into uranium-236. You need to know that level of detail. Now, within this equation, which of these feature? So we don't see any alpha particles, electrons. We don't see any uranium nuclei, as a product. So it's there as a reactant, but not as a product. So your answer can only be C. So describing the process of nuclear fission, it doesn't necessarily have to be all in prose. So I would put something like this in, something like an equation, and that's going to get you quite a lot of marks, particularly if you then describe it underneath. So just by doing this, you will get the first mark, which is that a neutron is absorbed by, and the second mark, uranium-235, so that's 2 marks. You will get a third mark for saying the word split, that it splits into 2 daughter products or nuclei. So that will get you actually 2 more marks, so a third and a fourth mark. And then releasing 2 or 3 further neutrons will get you a 5th mark. So the key words there are splitting and absorbing. Make sure you're getting both of those words in there somewhere. And then your last question, state 3 ways in which nuclear fission differs from radioactive decay. So radioactive decay is alpha, beta, or gamma. And they're both radioactive processes, but one of them occurs randomly and is not forced, and that's radioactive decay. So alpha, beta, and gamma, if you have radioactive material, it will naturally and randomly give out one of these particles, whereas fission is a forced process. It's not random. Fission is something that humans are making happen. So that would be one of your first marks there, that decay is random but fission is not. A second mark is that fission is induced. So that's the fancy way of saying what I just said, that humans cause fission to happen, but we don't cause radioactive decay. So the word you can use there is induced. That decay, they still produce daughter nuclei. So when a radioactive material gives out an alpha particle, it changes into a different daughter nuclei, but you only get one of those, whereas in fission you get two daughter nuclei. And that with fission you might still get gamma rays given out. So when we were talking about this equation up here, so you could put gamma rays at the end here, you could put energy, those things are not wrong. So with this, for this third one, you could say that gamma rays are produced for both, but alphas and betas are not produced in fission. Can't find where to stop it.